everything hitting at once. Now listen, this is coming from someone seeing it every day.
I think life is a game. But in all seriousness, in the past week, I done had several patients coming in finding out that they're HIV positive. And y'all keep making these posts and these jokes, and it's not funny. This shit is ruining people's lives from their early 20s to even as old as 50 years old. Stop playing. It's not funny. It's nothing funny about it. And you want to know what's so crazy? I seen a video of this gay dude on TikTok. He's a viral dude bragging about how he just moved to Houston and he just met somebody baby daddy, somebody trade, somebody thug drug dealer, and he let him fuck the shit out of him first night because he grown and all of that, and he sent him on about his way. Y'all think this is funny?
20s to 50s, it's everywhere. And this is where denial starts kicking in.
No, you guys know who works here because I have chlamydia now. Oh. I bought these and I wore these. Last night I was with my boyfriend and now I have chlamydia. And my boyfriend, he does not cheat on me. My boyfriend doesn't lie to me, so I know my boyfriend didn't give me chlamydia. I have been faithfully buying from this shop for 10 years. And now I'm burning and scratching, and you think that's funny? No, I don't.
Blaming anything except the truth. Watch this. This is how it actually spreads between people.
I remember one time this nigga gave me something, right? Obviously something I can get rid of or I won't be.
Chlamydia and gonorrhea.
Just give them the code word Houston.
I want to say it was not 24 hours later, I was infected with herpes.
I'm bad! Sorry that I didn't tell you from the beginning. And that I should have. But I was the victim at one point. And now everybody that I fucked was also now the victim. At the end of the day. And for you cheaters out, that's why you don't cheat. I'm saying because now you're passing out to other people.
Every last one of you guys to come to the ER for that checkup after you come back from Houston. And when you check in and you see the triage nurse, just give them the code word Houston and we already know what to do for you.
This starts with one confession.
Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, before I get started, I'm going to give all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Merkakodesh. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone who teach and rule well, and salutations to the elect feeding the sheep of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, with sincerity, with truth, and with charity. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father, in which the world ignorantly calls God. Ba'ashem means in the name of. And Yahushai is the true name of the Son, in which the world ignorantly calls JC. His true name is Yahushai. And once again, this will be an edifying lesson. And I'm going to be speaking about these so-called, these evil-ass women, right? Especially the Israelite woman. But, these women in America, Babylon the Great, and throughout the world, you start to see these dirty whores. They're starting to get judgment. Right, the Lord's starting to give them, all sorts of diseases, plagues, STDs, right? He's starting to judge them, right? Ultimately because, these women are adulterous, dirty whores, right? And, they're wicked, right? This is the book of 2 Ezra 15, verse 6. It says, "For wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled." Right? And who's the wicked? Esau, Edom. And who works with the wicked? The so-called black women, right? And these women in general, the society favors women, right? And it favors, them committing adultery, right? They actually benefits them, if these women file for child support, because they actually end up getting money, getting funding. They actually make money off these women, right? That money goes back to the state essentially, right? So if these women file for different types of child supports, right? They benefit off of the porn industry. These women, keeping men in a very very sedated state, right? Keep them, occupied with porn, right? And, now you have, these different women, just all of a sudden, whatever woman's left in the society, they're all have different diseases, right? That's why you brothers out there, if the Lord does not give you a woman, consider it a good thing, because, how do I say this? They can, most of these women are dirty, right? They're dirty fucking whores, You most of these people out here, they slept with a woman, right? But she's not the first person, they've slept with. She's got 20 other dudes that she slept with, right? This is the book of Micah, chapter 2, verse 10, and it says, "Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted, and it shall destroy you, even with a sore destruction." Right, so this place is polluted, and it's flesh that we have to basically, that we're trapped in temporarily, right? It's also polluted, right? But this whole place is polluted, including so-called Israelite women. She slept with all these different men, right? Now, the Lord is making it pretty clear, that the consequences of these women committing adultery, these women sleeping with all these different men. He's giving them diseases, right? He's giving them sexually transmitted diseases: herpes, gonorrhea, chlamydia. So what's the other one called? Syphilis, right? And these women are trying to blame everybody, everything else, but what with themselves, right? This woman said she blamed us clothes from the store. That's bullshit. Because these women, they sleep with all sorts of, they have one guy and they come in their house. The dude leaves. A couple hours later, they got a completely different nigga in their house. And then on top of that, right? You have these women now. They're going to these gyms and stuff. These different types of gatherings. They're wiping their booty holes. Literally on these equipments, right? And then mind you, they have, all sorts of diseases, and then other people are catching these diseases, right? So, this whole place is just so dirty, bro. Ultimately, the Lord has to come back and destroy this place, right? And when the Lord comes back, he's going to destroy America, Babylon the Great, with thermonuclear fire, right? Because this whole corrupt, when you don't want something to spread, you don't want corruption to spread, you don't want, what do you have to do? You got to burn it, right? You literally have to burn it with fire, right? And so that's what the Lord's going to do. He's going to make sure, these wicked people, they don't, they don't go anywhere. All these wicked people, you're going to see a whole lot of people dying, seconds when those nukes hit, right? But especially these women, bro. These women, a lot of them, they think that they have a chance, that the Lord's going to spare them because they're a woman. But, the Lord, the Lord, he's no stranger to taking out these women either, right? A woman that committed adultery, she would have been put to death. So, in the ancient world, right? So on this side, it's going to be the same thing. The Lord's going to just take care of it, right? The Lord will put these women to death, right? This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 9, and verse 4. It says, "And the Lord said unto him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof." Right? That mark is the Tawab, the mark of exemption. It says, and that's the Lord's mark. And it says, "And to the others he said in my hearing, Go ye after him through the city, and smite. Let not your eye spare, and neither have ye pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women. But come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and me get at my sanctuary." Right? So slay utterly old and young, maids, little children, and women. Right? Who's the maid? That's also speaking about women. So it mentions women twice in the scripture. just emphasizing, the judgment that's coming for these women, bro. These women, they're so dirty and filthy. The Lord has a judgment for these people. These women have to go, bro. They're done. And there was even somebody that I knew a few years ago. This woman had all types of diseases and sexually transmitted diseases, and she was sleeping with men and not even telling them that she had these diseases, right? And on New Year's 2025, I believe it was, she literally, bro, as soon as it hit January 1st, she died of an overdose. And that was from the Lord. The Lord took her ass out. Tawada Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, right? There's a lot more judgment coming to these people in the same way. The Lord, he's going to take a lot of these people out, right? Because, ultimately they're filthy, wicked women. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 26, verse 23. It says, a wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man, but a godly woman is given to him that feareth the Lord, right? So you brothers out there listening, learning, the Lord is not going to give you some dirty-ass woman with a bunch of diseases. The Lord has high standards, for his elect. The Lord willing, I'm part of that number, right? But the Lord, he has high standards, right? He's not going to give you, these, dirty-ass whore, right? Right? The Lord, he's not going to give you these dirty-ass whores. Right, and King Solomon said, out of 1,000 men, I found one righteous. I thought 1,000 women, none. Right, so according to his ratio, it might be, there might be, it might take, man, like I'm not gonna put a specific number, but it's really up to the Lord. But it might be 10,000, 100,000 out of 100,000 women. You might find that one sincere sister, right? Because there are sincere sisters listening and learning, but for the rest of you dirty ass women, the Lord is not giving you to a righteous man. The Lord has very high standards for his men, right? We know that the wicked, the 2/3, most of them on this side, a lot of them. You're seeing all these rappers and famous streamers, whatever. These wicked people that don't have the scriptures, they're getting all sorts of women, right? But you have to understand that they're getting wicked, they're getting wicked women, and they're getting all sorts of demons, that are hopping on them. They sleep with these different women, right? And getting all sorts of diseases, right? You might have to wait a lot longer, because Isaiah 4:1 will be happening. We're approaching this time period where 7 women, meaning a complete number, shall take hold of one man, and that's because of the chaos and destruction that's gonna take place, right? And an Israelite man, not a heathen man, not an Edomite, right? But 7 women will take hold to an Israelite man, right? And then you're gonna start to then that's when you're gonna the Lord, he's going to set up his men with the women that are coming in proper order, right? These women, they're not going to be giving you they won't be giving you an attitude, right? These women aren't going to be cheating on you. These women aren't going to give you diseases. They're not going to give you they're not going to try to backdoor you, right? Because if you do any of those things, well, your ass is going to be cooked. You're going to be fucking destroyed, right? This is the book of Isaiah chapter 3, verse 24. It says, and it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell, there shall be stench, and instead of a girdle that rents, and instead of well-set hair, baldness, and instead of a sash, a girding of sackcloth, and branding instead of beauty, right? that's these curses that have fallen upon Israelite women, right? And with that, what they they're disgusting now, right? They have all sorts of diseases, right? They walk onto the streets with they don't got no more hair. They have to wear weaves. They're wearing torn up clothes. They look like prostitutes. Coming out of their own house, wearing some prostitute clothes. You're wearing prostitute clothing, right? And ultimately, you are a prostitute at that point, right? At that point, because you're revealing yourself to everybody to see. You are technically what you consider a prostitute, right? Or the scripture speaks to you also about it refers to you as a gatherer abroad, right? You're basically what you call a gatherer abroad, right? It's the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 25, verse 25. It says, "Give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to gad abroad." Right, that's what you're seeing all these women doing. They're taking different trips, taking different vacations with their without the presence of their husbands, right? What do you think they're doing on these vacations? Different places, going to different concerts, right? Like Rolling Loud. They're going there. First of all, they're going there to see if they can get attention from different celebrities. They're seeing if they can be picked by from the crowd by these different celebrities, right? These different singers, right? And and they're going there to suck dick, right? And this is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 26 and verse 12. It says, "She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler when he hath found a fountain, and drink of every water near her. By every hedge she sit down, and open her quiver against every arrow." Right? So, these women that are gathering abroad, right, traveling different places, right? She'll open her mouth to any person, any different man that comes alongside her, or that comes that has displayed some sort of sign of interest, right? Women at their jobs, different men at their jobs, right? Their bosses, different sports players, right? Different musicians. These women are completely finished, bro. They're completely polluted, right? Wait, I'm gonna read it one more time. It says, "She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler, when he hath found a fountain, and drink of every water near her. By every hedge will she sit down, and open her quiver against every arrow." Right? So stay away from these whores. Stay away from these whores, brothers out there. And for you sincere sisters, continue continue keep listening. Listening and learning and hearken unto what the prophets say, right? Because all these things they are coming. This destruction is coming for a lot of these people in the world. And don't think you are missing out on anything, because this is what you're missing out on. All sorts of diseases and diseases and judgment, right? So don't be like these people, right? So with that, all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadesh, and double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. Shalom.